Okay. There. We should be back. Let me get the chat set up. There's that. Okay. Votes are back running. Had a family member, got a flat tire, was stuck down pretty close to me, so I went down there and helped out. So now that's taken care of. Still the same Saturday, got nothing really going on. So we come back, do some more hanging out. I don't have anything else other than what we were currently talking about, I guess, to be fair. But yeah, cool. Okay, so far we had DC Multiverse. Yeah, it did. It went fine. I don't know if anybody else heard that. I was just sounded like a loud dog. Sounded like it came right from my front yard for a second there. Which wouldn't be impossible. There's a couple of dogs that like get loose and run around the neighborhood. It kind of drives me crazy because I don't know exactly where they come from. Like, so I'll see them every now and then. There's like 2 German Shepherds. They get out and they run around. And I don't know what house they belong to. So like when I see them, I want to take them back home. They seem friendly enough. They've never nipped at me or anything like that. One of them even walks right up to the front porch or whatever, and I can even pet her. So, like, it doesn't seem like there's any kind of problem. They're very well-behaved dogs, but they seem to keep getting away from the owners and roaming the neighborhood, and, like, that just makes me uncomfortable. Like, I wish I knew where to take them, and I don't. I don't know where to take them. So that kind of puts me off when that happens. So right now we are looking at, we're only about 2 minutes in. People will start finding it, that it's back, if they're even available to do so. We'll figure that out as we go. Right now, looks like DC Multiverse is currently winning, and I need to figure out, there would be that. So there's 3 of them currently left for DC Multiverse. And we'll discuss that. In fact, to get back on track, let me check something real quick. Currently, that's interesting. For some reason, there it is. It did not switch over to my analytics table. That was weird. Usually that doesn't happen that way. Okay, so that seems to be working. That's fine. So let's go back here and we'll just call it to get things moving. So the first one is DC Multiverse, and we'll set up for what that entails. I've got 3 DC Multiverse currently sitting. So oops. Bam. There. I thought about, when I came back for a second, if I was going to like hit up a couple of the live streams that I know run on Saturday nights, but like I figured I'm already doing this. I may as well hop in and at least get another hour or something out of it. And we'll see where this takes us. Yeah, there's only 3 in terms of DC currently, because we've kind of dwindled that down, and I haven't been picking up new DC for a while now. there's a couple things here and there that I see that I want from time to time, but nothing that I'm gunning after. I thought for sure there was something recent though that's going to be coming out that I thought I wanted, that I needed to keep my eye on, but I don't know. I kind of wish I had a better how do I put this? I wish I had a better list of stuff. Like I used to have a very specific, like I used to follow a couple people on like Twitter or X or whatever, and I used to get my information from them. Hey, this is coming out. This is coming. It was like very rapid, and it was always pretty much an update every time I opened up my my browser. Then I really like. I know it still appears in my information where it says, "Hey, follow me here" or whatever. I don't. It's been a while since I've like done anything on X. Like a while. I don't really load it up. I don't really mess with it. Like, I wasn't exactly getting any followers on there, and like I was just kind of using it for toy news anyway. So I kind of left, went over to Instagram where I post a lot more, and I actually talk to a couple people on there, and that's just kind of where I am. And so since I started kind of focusing there, I've noticed though a lot of the toy news, even though I follow some of the same accounts on Instagram, I don't know if it's the way their algorithm works or whatever, I'm not getting any information. So I'm in a constant state of not knowing what's coming, and then trying to make that up with like YouTube stuff where like YouTubers are talking about, hey, this is, this is coming down the line or whatever. But it's not as reliable as just getting information quickly like I was. It just doesn't seem to work that way. That's interesting. Okay, well, right now we are looking at, we've only got 2 minutes, 3 minutes. We're 3 minutes in, 3 votes. Right now, Simon is winning. Simon, it's interesting. Hal and Simon are not that they're the last lanterns ever that I would buy, but they complete the Earth lanterns. After these two, I'm done. Like, I've actually reached a point where I don't need to worry at that point. I have it. That's it. And, no, Seth, no. Yes, but no. That was, I don't know why, but something changed in my phone where it like automatically updated my contact list. And so I told my car when I was driving to the person who had the flat tire, I was like, call. And it was like, call Seth. And I was like, I didn't say that. So I turned it off and I was like, call. And it was like, call Brad. And I was like, what? How? What? Those two aren't even close to each other. How did you get either one of those? And then like finally I figured out what was going on is something has changed in my phone where it automatically updated my contact list. And it like pulled information synced from somewhere and changed a couple of the names. And now I've got to go back and fix it because now there's certain names in there. Like my grandma is no longer listed as grandma. It's her name. And that really throws me off because if I'm in there and I'm like, call grandma, it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So it just like picks somebody at random, it seems. It's just like, oh, okay. And then it was and yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what the crap that's about. It's wild. Okay. I get it. Yeah. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's do Simon. Okay. Yeah, let's get him out here. And yes, I do know his last name. It just was quicker to type. I know who he is. So, Simon Baz. There he is. Look at that guy. See that guy right there? There he is. That's the guy. This is the, I was about to say newest. It depends on the way that you look at it. Newest Green Lantern of the Earth Corps. And he comes with a lot of stuff. Like, they gave him a lot of green, which is good. I guess it's not a crazy amount. And I probably could have lived without the angry face. Like, there's multiple faces, so maybe that's not a big deal. We'll see. as we get in. I'm going to have to check him out and figure out how this works. This guy is a bit interesting to me, though, in terms of fandom. See, Simon, when I was reading the Green Lantern books, I got up to current, and I started reading the current books. And that was where he was just showing up, was when I was reading all the current books. And I remember reading it and being like, all right, I see where we're going. I understand this. I get why he was picked the way he was. This makes sense. It allows them to play very specific angles in the storyline. This is going to work. I feel like we can really do something with this. Then I started noticing something. Simon, to me, and I don't know if this is just I started paying a little bit more attention or if I just got some old man crap that happened, I started noticing that it seemed like shortly after Simon Baz, because it felt like people just kind of accepted. We were like, here's what's going on. We're in DC. This is working. Here's Simon. New character. People are on board. Let's start writing for the new character. It felt like it was working. It wasn't too long after Simon that I started coming across where they would make new characters and people just would not accept. They won't accept them. Like, it is so hard to get a new character anymore in, like, established things. Like, you need new Marvel characters, and then you bring out new Marvel characters, and everybody is, like, adamantly opposed to them. And you need new DC characters, and you bring out new DC characters, and everybody is adamantly opposed to them. And I've never necessarily understood why, because you need new characters, you need new developments, you need new stories, and you need new possibilities, and you need new viewpoints to tell stories that haven't been told. You need that. You need cultural expansion to bring in ideas that you've never currently thought of. You need other walks of life to be able to see stories and dramas in areas that you don't understand. Not everybody grew up in a trailer park, and not everybody grew up in a suburb. Not everybody grew up rich. Not everybody grew up poor. There's a massive system. Not everybody had tight-knit families. Not everybody had wide-range families. Like, everybody comes from a different walk of life, and you need new characters, new ethnicities, new religions, for that point, and new walks of life and new stations of life to continually tell new stories. You can't just constantly put the same old guys in every situation and expect that we're going to get something new out of it, because the world is way more vast than that. But it seems like shortly after him, I was witnessing character after character after character come out where people were just adamantly opposed to the idea that these were like new characters. They were like, oh my God, I hate this guy and I don't like this guy. It seemed like I started seeing a lot more it's not a real word, disacceptance or whatever. I don't know. There was no acceptance to these new characters. Now, I will admit, there's a token problem that happens where characters don't feel like characters. They feel like they were just dropped into a narrative. Hey, by the way, we need this for this purpose. Throw him in there. That doesn't work. That's not a real character. We can't use that. We need real characters with real development and real understandings, sometimes in the best possible way, written by people that actually understand that walk of life so that they can really tell that story. It would help in stories if you were going to have, say, a gay couple, just to put it out there. I don't care one way or another. It would help to actually have somebody gay write said book. It would help. It would help to get it off the ground and create a standard instead of somebody's third-person perspective guess as to what that life must be like, what that situation must be like. It's not the same. So I think sometimes it does help when you're bringing out a very specific type of female character or something like that, to have an actual female writer with female perspectives to tell a story, at least at the beginning. We've had plenty of men that have written for women characters, and they've been accepted and appreciated by both men and women over the years. So I don't think that that's something that can't be done. I'm just saying that's something somewhat different. I think it is necessary to have viewpoints like this. And he feels legitimately like the last time I saw where I read his books and it seemed like everybody was on board. DC wasn't pulling back. They were pushing him. He was a new property. They pushed him out there. They had him accepted. He got his own book. He was sharing a book with another character at that time, sure. But, like, it felt right. And it felt like we were going to have no problem taking off with him. And he has, for that matter. He has been a solid character, and he's done a lot so far already. But it feels like every time they try to push something new now, it feels like there's major pushback. Like people are really not into the idea of change. And I don't know personally if that's me getting older and seeing more of that pushback or if it really is happening that way. It's hard to say. It really is. My dog is barking at me. Let me go check, then we'll open this guy. All right. Let's see. Well, oh my gosh. Okay, let's turn that foot. There we go. That works. All right. He was, man, that pose they gave him in that box was not helping him at all. Like, look at that. What is that about? But, oh no. Oh, never mind. I was going to say, is he one of those, like, because, like, that Batman has that weird leg. I thought he was a weird leg one again. He might be a slightly weird leg, but I don't know. Doesn't seem like it's too big of a deal right now. Standard McFarlane articulation as far as I could tell. Shouldn't have any problem getting flight poses or anything like that. He doesn't have any extra hands. Is that regular now? Is that what we're doing? Like, this is the second McFarlane figure that we have opened now, back to back, that didn't get any extra hands. And this isn't one of those guys that I'm going to be able to replace hands on and, like, help that. He got a punching hand, which I'll call it a ring hand, because that's what it is. He's got the ring on it. And a trigger finger hand. Why does he have a trigger finger hand? Why are we doing that? Why is that? And look, this is like fingerless gloves hand as well. So it's not like I have anything else that I've gotten from McFarlane so far that I can, like, swap these hands out. Like, why is it always the trigger finger hand? I don't understand. Well, regardless, he got this. He got his mallet. I'm getting me mallet. He got a lantern. Green construct looking lantern. He got this wild thing. Like this just freaking buzzsaw thing. Which, like... Okay, so does that go... This is the ring hand, which you imagine is what would make it. But it doesn't go that way. And it doesn't go... Does it go this way? This is kind of a... Oh, there it is. Okay, so it does work. It's kind of goofy. It doesn't feel like it... It almost feels like it's not right. But it's there. He's got that. And then he's got this freaking gauntlet glove, which that feels more... That feels more right. Like that's kind of cool. That's sharp. I kind of like that. That's cool. And then he has multiple faces. So he has this face, which is, I don't know what's going on with that face. I don't know if they were going for something specific and it just didn't pan out. I don't know. But then he has this, like, smiling face, which is kind of wild face. It's just kind of a... And then he's got also this just more standard face. Just I'm sitting on the shelf face. And that's the face that I need. So let's pull the chin. Okay. So the faceplate just comes off. It was pretty easy. That he's got this horrifying thing going on. And then you put that on and he looks oddly smug. Like with the whole thing, just like he's very proud of himself. He's like, look at that, I made that. I made that. Like, it's okay though. Simon. Got Simon. Only thing I have left to open anyway, not to get, but to open, is I have a classic Hal Jordan. And that classic Hal Jordan will take his place on the shelf. As soon as the classic Hal Jordan is out of the box, this guy's going to the sales table. He's not something that's going to stick around. He's fine, but, like, he doesn't really do anything for me in terms of that. Like, I'm more interested in just having the classic costume Green Lanterns on the shelf. These faceplates, I still really don't know how I feel about them. Like, in some cases, I look at him and I'm like, hey, that's pretty good. And in some characters, like Simon, it really works because the way his mask is done, like the cut of those really works. You don't. There's no real problem. You could put that on there and it doesn't seem like it's causing any issues. But like some of the characters, unless they have the proper haircut or something that kind of really helps to hide it, it doesn't help. It kind of looks bad because you can see like the seam and it feels like their face is cut off because it is. I don't know. It's not the best thing. I'm not trying to collect a bunch of Hannibal Lecter faces, but I guess whatever. But yeah, I have noticed that seems to be what they're going for now. It seems to be what he's focusing on. Is he's starting to do the instead of extra heads, he's doing all the face swaps. And like I said, I'm not 100% sure how I feel about the face plates. Almost wish, in reality, and I gotta check. No, I was kind of hoping because if people had kind of gathered in, I'd kind of ask that question. Actually, I'm curious how people feel about that because I don't actually know how people feel about the whole faceplates thing. But I personally don't know if I love it, to say the least about it. I'm not 100% sure that I'm on board with it. You know what? Let's try this. I'm legitimately curious about this. So let me go let my dog in, and I'm curious how that's gonna hit. I really am. I'm curious because I really don't have an answer on this one, like how I feel about it. So let that play for a minute. I'm gonna let the dog in, and then we'll get back to it. Really? That surprises me. Now, we've only got two votes. Seems like people probably kind of went off to do their own thing, which I kind of wondered if having the stream broke up like that would affect it, but that definitely seems to have. So right now we just have a 50-50 split on it, so I didn't really get an answer on that one, to be fair. Seems like in terms of the small pool that we have to go on, people could take them or leave them. It's not really a big deal. We'll have to remember that question and ask it again on another episode when we got a couple more people in here, because like I'm really curious. I really am. I'm curious how people seem to feel about those faceplates. Because I personally don't know. I'm kind of stuck in the middle ground with them. Okay, so let's figure out. Let's see. Let's do that. And let's change the idea a little bit here. Let's do... So we'll do that. That. What is that? Oh, you know what? Let's try this and see how that works out real quick. Okay. And we were kind of, I'm just really curious how, like, what the opinion on him is. Because, like, I've literally never necessarily known how I feel about them. Sometimes I feel like they're really not a big deal and they really work. And then sometimes I feel like they don't look right. Like they're causing problems to the sculpt. And it's hard for me to know, like, where I sit and where other people sit with the whole faceplate thing. Not a fan of the faceplates. They might break easy and would probably be easier to lose. They're definitely easier to lose. 100%. I've doing this show specifically, I have dropped one on the floor and then been like, oh crap. Like trying to figure out where it is. Like, oh no. So yeah, they're definitely easier to lose. 100%. Which you would expect from anything like that small, to be fair. I guess. Just, yeah. And sometimes, I get it. Now, I will say, there is a, if it's a cost thing, and faceplates means that we can get 6 or 7 faces, right? As opposed to 2 head sculpts. That is a benefit. And on certain characters, it really does work. But not every one of them, I've noticed. And it almost seems like he's trying to figure stuff out, like, as he does it. Because, like, you bring up Guy Gardner. Now, the Guy Gardner is kind of wild. Because when you use the Guy Gardner faceplates, he has, like, I know this is weird. He has a mouth. Like they sculpted a mouth with teeth and everything under the stuff. Like, okay, so like here, when you pull the faceplate off, which is just down here at the bottom, you pull the little thing. Now all of a sudden it doesn't want to come off there. It's just this. It's just this like soulless black void. And then you put it on. And because of the way his mask works, it's kind of perfect. Like, there's it's kind of perfect. It's seamless. Well, he also has a face, which we just got done showing, with smiley teeth. Guy, they put the teeth on there and then like made the faceplate stick out so like his mouth is over his teeth. And that's weird to say because like, yeah, that's how like anatomy works. My lips are in front of my teeth. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. But then the face where he's smiling is like, it's just like his lips being open, which I guess, yeah, like I was saying, that's how anatomy works, Bill. Yeah. And then you could see his teeth. But like, why not just do the whole faceplate with the teeth? You know, like they did with Simon. With Simon, he just has the teeth. They didn't make the teeth on the head and then put the face over it. There's something just really weird about how they chose to do that with Guy. I don't know. It's just weird. And then because of that, there seems like there's less surface area that the face is holding on to. So like, is it easier for that face to fall off and then we don't, and then it's gone and then who knows what happened to it? Like, good luck to us. I don't know. Like, I really don't. I really don't know. I don't know how that affects. Yeah, the faceplates seem a little weird, in all honesty. But I don't know that I could say that they're bad. Because, like with Simon, that we just looked at, it works. Like, it really does. It works. You could easily get 6 or 7 faces of all different consistency, and you would never have a problem. They would all go on perfectly, and you'd never have an issue. But it feels like it wouldn't work the same way with every other character. Because, like, especially, there were a couple characters that have had the faceplates that they have, like, this, like, I mean, there's like a, it's like a line, it's like a separation, and then that's uncomfortable. I don't know. I really don't. Hey, what's going on? Okay, currently we are at 5 minutes, and looks like Hal Jordan is winning so far, but we'll see how that turns out. Otherwise, I don't really have any like side topics or anything lined up tonight. I wasn't actually expecting to be on, so I was just kind of looking for where the chat takes us tonight, really. And I don't know how much longer I am on. It just depends on how the situation goes. Today was a bit of a weird situation, and then I didn't expect for it to be cut in the middle either. But we'll figure it out. Good stream so far. Enjoying chair. Speaking of chair, my chair is old, man. Like, it is time for a new gaming chair. Like crazy, it's time for one. But, like, I don't know. I have this weird problem when it comes to stuff like that. If it's a big item, like an item like, okay, this chair, I've been sitting in this chair for what feels like years. Like, years. So I know that I'm the kind of person that, like, will get a chair and hang on to it for a very, very long time. So now, I can't help but feel like I need a new gaming chair, and I realize that. But I get stuck in this problem where, like, I almost don't want to buy one. Because if I run out and I buy one, and I bring it home, and it's not from, like, a place where I can actually sit in it beforehand, I might get home and find out that I don't like that chair. And then I will just because I know me, I will just uncomfortably sit in that chair for the next 5 years and, like, get over it. I don't know. That's the way I am. Like, I had a recliner chair in my living room that I did not like, that somehow ended up becoming my chair. And I just sat in that chair for like 6 years. Like, it was like kind of busted. Like if you leaned back in it or whatever, it wouldn't hold. It would always just kind of like slowly go back into the sitting position. Like it didn't, like if you laid back in it, it would slowly like force you to get up. I hated that chair. Like it drove me crazy. But then I couldn't I couldn't just go buy a new chair. Chairs are like $500-$600 depending on your situation and whatnot. So like, yeah, it's it kind of sucks. Like, so I'm really kind of fighting with myself. I know it's time for a new gamer chair. This one has seen its day. But at the same time, I don't know what I should get or what I should be hunting for. I don't know if you saw it, but did you know that Tubi has gotten most of the old Cartoon Network shows on there? Justice League. I did see that, and I was curious what happened. I saw like a big notice about it that like Tubi for some reason got a whole bunch, and then like a whole bunch of the Hanna-Barbera stuff or whatever. I think it was like very older cartoons were just announced for another one, and I was curious what was going on. Like, was there just like a big giant acquisition of properties that I'm unaware of that took place somewhere recently? Now, what DC animated movies have you watched? Because you said you never watched Justice League versus the Fatal Five. So originally, I was keeping up and I was watching a lot of those movies. Like I saw Justice League War, I saw the Atlantis one. I think I own like 7. Like literally, sitting here trying to name them is just seems because I've seen a lot of them. Like I saw Under the Red Hood. I saw Apocalypse. Is it just called Justice League Apocalypse? Can't even remember. I know I saw War. I know I saw the Atlantis one. I know like I've seen a ridiculous amount of them. I know that. I know I've seen the Teen Titans one. Like it's hard for me to remember because there really are so many of them. I need a new desk chair. The cushion is pretty much pancaked, but I don't want to spend money, $300. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, and that's part of the reason that I'm having trouble, because I know that like a gaming chair is a real investment. I'm going to spend real money, and I just don't know. You know what I mean? Even saw Dexter's Laboratory, Ben 10, The Batman. Hopefully they get Samurai Jack too. I think. You know a Batman show that is like underappreciated? It's a different take for sure, but it's like it's very underappreciated is it called like Shadow of the Batman or something like that? It was like a 3D animation one. And it's very early in Batman's career, so they're not using like they use characters like Anarchy and Professor Pig and Frog and Pig and things like that. They use characters like that, and it's very, very early, like the first year of him or whatever. Beware the Batman. Yep. Yeah, that's kind of an underappreciated show. That's interesting for what it is. I'm not saying it's the best Batman, of course I'm not. But like, I almost feel like it never got a chance to do what it wanted to do. Because, like, right when it was starting to dive into, like, big hitters, like, it would have started moving into things like Two-Face and whatnot, the show got done. And, like, I always felt like that was kind of that's kind of sad, because it really felt like it was growing in potential as it went. Heck, like, there at the very end of the series, he ended up fighting Deathstroke, which was really good. Cyber and more cartoons to come. And that's for the cheap one, not the high-end one. So Cartoon Network ended, I think, so Tubi must have bought the rights to stream all cartoons. Cartoon Network ended? Like, I did hear something about that, actually. I guess, like, now in the streaming age, I guess I wouldn't have known. Like, and it wouldn't have affected me anyway. Like, even if it was still running today, I'm not watching it. And even if it stopped yesterday, I'm not watching it. So it's like one of those things that like didn't even kind of cross my mind. So does that mean like there is no Adult Swim now? Because I think my mom was actually still watching Adult Swim not but like 2 years ago. I was over at her house and like it was on. So like I know she watches those Adult Swim dumb shows, like she's really into those, like, and that's kind of crazy to think. That's an era gone, man. Cuz like I grew up with that. They had a Joker sketch. Did they start bringing the Joker or whatever? Thought it was an HBO Max thing, not a Cartoon Network thing. See, I don't know. I don't have any idea what's going on with that. Like that's all news to me. 13 minutes. Hal Jordan won. In another one of these stupid clamshells. Well, Hal Jordan in the same comic that came with Jessica. We just talked about this. Like, we just did it. I talked about how sometimes these comics make sense to me. Like, they work. They're one-shots or they're stories, and they give you something, and they make you go, oh man, I never knew about that character or whatever, or it like opens you up to a possibility. And then sometimes you buy Jessica Cruz, and she comes with book 48. And then you buy Hal Jordan, and he comes with book 48. You're not like accomplishing anything. If anything, and especially since this is part one of a story, make this wave. If this is what you're looking to do, make this wave all these books. If this is a 5-part series, make 5 figures. Sell the 5 figures. You buy all the figures, you get the whole storyline too. And then you could base your lines around the storylines. So you could make it that every character that you get plays into an idea so that people would not only get some toys, some figures, but they get an understanding of the Green Lantern universe and expand. And there's no reason you couldn't have done that too. Look, you have Jessica, you have Hal, you have Simon. That's 3 characters right there featured in this book. I'm almost 100% because this is Green Lanterns, which was Jessica and Simon's book. They were doing it was kind of like a buddy cop book. So that was their book. And there's no reason, and if the reason is DC will only allow the licensing of one part of their story, well, then DC is stupid. There's no way around it. You can't go. There's not even an argument to be made on that end. If it was a licensing agreement about DC, no, they'll only let you have the one book, blah, 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 because they want people to come and buy their books. Well, that would be stupid on their part. Because unless you give somebody a full story with interest that allows them to like a character and see that there's potential for storytelling in your books, they're not going to go pick up Lanterns from that point. They're not going to read. Who reads 48 and then goes, I really liked that Green Lanterns book. I wonder where they are now. And let's say it was still going and they're on like book 240 something. You're just going to pick up at 240 something? After you just read this part of the story? It doesn't make any sense. I understand the idea. But even if the idea is sound to put comics with toys, and in some cases the idea is sound, it is not sound the way they handle it. It's a process that doesn't make any sense. Like, why do people not buy comic books? Because the answer is simpler than you would think. It really is. Availability. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's true. I promise you it's true. Availability of comic books is one of the number one reasons people don't buy them. You have to go out of your way to dusky little comic shops. And yes, that is how I'm referring to them, because let's be honest about half the comic shops you know about. I'm not saying there's not high-end good comic stores, but let's talk about half of them, more than half of them that we all know about. The ones that we grew up in. The ones that are almost basically like big garages or whatever. Like they just feel dirty. It's the only way you can explain it. We have multiple comic shops in this area. And 4 of them feel like old forgotten buildings. You walk in and there's like toys and comics and there's some bookshelves and there's like all these boxes everywhere, and like it feels like you just walked into the middle of like some kind of flea market garage sale. And there just happens to be like 2 walls or whatever that are like new books. And a lot of comic shops have kind of helped themselves to kind of escape that by also becoming they've kind of combined their business with, this is the comic book store, but this is also the card store or the tabletop store. Now that gives it a different feeling, but it expands the concept, and it makes the building look different. It usually seems to be a little cleaner. It's less like a flea market thing that you just walked into, because people are going there on a regular and they're having sodas and they're sitting down, they're playing cards, and then they're walking over and they're getting a couple comics or whatever. But like when I grew up, because here we go with some old man crap, it was very easy to get comic books. I got a lot of comics at the Piggly Wiggly grocery store. I would help my grandma carry groceries, and then she would like give me $1.50 or whatever, and I would buy a comic book. And I bought a lot of comics. That's where I got my first X-Men comics. My mom used to find Superman comics and Batman comics. Garage sales used to sell comics like crazy. They were just everywhere. Like there was an abundance of comics all over the place. You could get comics at gas stations. You could get comics at grocery stores. You could get comics at convenience stores. You could get comics at like the Walgreens and whatnot. You would go back to the magazine area and there'd be like magazines and whatnot. And then somewhere on the rack, there'd be like a stack of like 16, 17 different comics. It was just comics everywhere. There really was. It was a different time. Now, they've kind of snuck their way back into Walmart, but they're in like these terrible areas where like they're kind of at the checkout, but only one lane of the checkout. And they're in like these like weird boxes where kind of like it's like a brick of comics. And like even that comes down to being the same problem as this. It's like 10 different books and you buy it or whatever and you open it up, but it's like 10 different books of like different characters from different times, and like none of it really ties together in a way that like makes sense. It's just like a variety bag. And then what does the comic do the comic companies think that you're going to read that grab bag of like 6 books or whatever, and you're just gonna be so mesmerized by the one book that you're gonna be like, oh my god, that straight up freaking life changing, and like you're gonna run out and like immediately go find your nearest comic store and make a pull list. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. We are entering a weird point in this too, where like comics are kind of starting to enter that territory of being almost a streaming property. A lot of people, myself included, have like a tablet. And I'm not subscribed to one of those, but I have bought full digital packs of books from like Humble Bundle, where they were selling, like at one point they sold like 140 Red Sonja comics. Like it was like a big giant grab. It was like $20, 140 issues. And I was like, man, that sounds cool. And it was all over her history. So I read some stuff that I never read, some stuff that I had read, some stuff that I forgot about completely. It was cool. It was just a grab of all kinds of books. That was cool. And for $20, I got a lot. And every now and then it has hit my mind, like, instead of trying to hunt down books all the time, not that I necessarily want this, because I don't. But I do. It's a very... Just like I don't love the idea that music I'm no longer buying on CDs. I'm not. Part of me misses that, having an actual CD rack. I used to have hundreds of CDs. I'm not exaggerating. I'm talking hundreds. I had a 400 CD changer, 400 disc changer. It was on one of those big spindle racks, and it spun, and then there was like a little thing that would like pull the disc. You'd be like, I want to listen to disc 142, and it'd be like, woo, and it would like pull that disc and play that disc. Yeah. Now, do I love that? Not necessarily. And at the same time, I could tell you from the experience of being the old guy, well, the young guy at the time, that was driving down the road listening to CDs, and then like I'd be driving and I'd be like, oh, that CD's over, hey, and I have to always like rely on the guy that I'm driving with, like whoever's in my passenger seat, like pick another disc. Like, I don't have that anymore. Even the controls are on the steering wheel because they know everybody listens to their music digitally at this point. And like, I'm listening to like, who knows what. And if I don't like the song, I skip it. And if I hear something that I've never heard before, I can just reach up to the dash. Like, that's a good one. Their convenience is a big deal. So like, and I know it sounds like we've been completely off track, but we're not. I'm still on the same subject. This will not get people interested in buying books. However, maybe, if you sold Hal Jordan and he came with either an Amazon pack, like, because they have like a reading service, a stream thing with comics and whatnot too. If it came with like a thing that like, hey, type this in and you'll get a digital copy of this storyline. And then they're already on their app and they have infinite access to the next story and the next and the next and the next or the previous. You might get people that way. And I know that there's a DC streaming app, basically, like where you just like stream their comics, basically. And there's a Marvel streaming app where you basically just stream their comics. And the coolest thing about something like that is if you are reading the comic and it has a footnote that says like, for information about this, see so-and-so book, blah, blah, blah. You could just immediately stop, be like, hold on, let me see that. Click the thing, type it in, go to that, read that book, come back, and it would even keep bookmarks of everywhere you are. That's a convenience. Do I love the idea of getting rid of books? No. No, I don't. But I am honest about what the future could hold for keeping people interested in comics. Because the more old geezers like myself that drop out of the hobby and kids are not getting into it, it's gonna die, and this ain't gonna help it. It may actually hurt it more than they realize. I know. Come here for me to open up a Hal Jordan, I'll give you a comic book lecture for like 20 minutes. I'm sorry. It's the way the show works, man. Let's open this guy. All right. So let's start with the first thing. What do you think? Think my problem is here? Do Green Lanterns strike you as the kind of characters that only stands? Where are the flight stands? Where are they? And I know this is a stupid argument and a stupid complaint. Fully aware of it. But I will continue to make it because really, this doesn't make sense. Just like we talked about with line killers, because we talked about this already with like some of the Marvel stuff that we're getting, like with Psylocke and whatnot. Once these characters come out and you show that it can be done, that you're willing to do it, that's it. The question is posed at that point. And now that we know that you can release those flight stands with characters, especially the Superman characters that you've given us flight stands with, that creates an issue where, like, characters that fly should have flight stands. They should just have flight stands. It shouldn't even be a question. But whatever. Stupid green arc thing again. They really like this effect, even though like it works for the guys way better than it works for like Jessica. It doesn't really clip to Jessica. It doesn't work. You can get something out of this. You could put it on their foot, or you could put it on like their arm for like a swing effect or something like that. It does work, but it's gimmicky. The other thing that we got was the ring effect, which this very simple, but this actually works. This you like connect it onto the lantern or something, and it looks like you're doing that. But for that also, we didn't get a lantern. I can't help but wonder if we got a comic book. And because we got a comic book, we didn't get simple things like, because Simon came with like a hammer, a drill, a lantern, a gauntlet, like 3 faces, and him. Hal comes with the same 2 effects we've gotten on like 40 lanterns, a comic book, and Hal Jordan. Does that seem right? Like, and so many of the Green Lantern effects that you could have like just repackaged with him too, like seems a little wrong, but I'm not really mad about it. I'm really not. I'm just kind of like pointing it out that it does feel weird to give us a Hal Jordan, and then like I always say this, like everybody's figure is somebody's first figure. Like, what if you are specifically Green Lantern and, like, this is where you decided to start, you get, like, this is what you get. Like, that's it. Like, you don't get the lantern or anything. And it's not that they can't be shared as soon as you do finally get a guy that has one. There, you got it. But then I also noticed there's an inconsistency in these that they don't mention too often. But, like, this is not too bad. This is almost perfect. But this is a little bit darker of a green than this one. And I've noticed that consistently with the other lanterns too. Some have lighter green constructs and some have darker green constructs. And I find that to be odd. I feel like if you wanted to create the possibility of get more lanterns, get more effects, get more stuff, they should all be the same green. I mean, I guess green is green. But like, if they were all the same green, you could mix and match constructs across the entire team. So like, it's just like a little thing that I noticed that kind of makes me feel like personally, if you're looking to build a line, right, consistency is key. And we talked about this previously as well. I guess I just got real serious. We talked about this previously. Go back. We talked about this previously as well when we mentioned, like in when we talked about him, and we talked about the consistency of a line, that the articulation that you choose to run in a line should be consistent throughout the entire line. And to give it props, from start to finish, this has pretty much been the buck of the McFarlane line. Pretty much. They've made minor improvements here and there, very small, to the point where they're almost hard to tell that they were improvements at all, unless you have guys from the very beginning and you could see things like they did slowly add things like the double elbows and whatnot, and they increased performance, and they got a little deeper on like what you could actually get out of like the bends and things like that. They got better consistently as they went, but pretty much I could hold this howl up to probably the first howl that was released, and you would be like, those are McFarlane figures. That's a consistency throughout the course of the entire line. That's good. I'll give them that. But then, to call out the same question that I just did, though, then why would you not pick a very specific plastic green and make that the construct of the entire line for every Lantern that you release with every character? Because then you would have consistent constructs that can work with every character. I just don't get it. It seems weird to me that so many toy lines don't look into small little things like creating line consistency. Line consistency could go a long way in making toy lines worth it, is the best way I can explain it. Like Star Trek Playmates, the more Star Trek guys you bought, the more Star Trek little things you got, like a computer console, the little laptop things that they use. All these different things snuck their way in, the 4D chess game and whatnot. By the time you're done collecting about 40 of these guys, you can literally put together a ship. And you have all these like consoles and computers that you could put around the place and whatnot, like the 4D chess and all this stuff. They're not painted well. I'm not giving them that kind of prop. But I'm saying that there was a consistency throughout the entire line of those figures that never really died. And that was the fact that every character came with stuff. And it was random stuff, but every stuff increased over time. I have like 20 tribbles. I can literally do a Trouble with Tribbles episode picture with the amount of tribbles I have from collecting that. I can't, however, really do that with Lantern constructs because they all seem to be different greens. Stupid thing to complain about. I realize that. But that's this whole show, is just talking about fandom and the issues that come up while looking at toys, the things we think about. This guy is Hal Jordan. There he is. There's not too much else to say. He's got his ring finger. It's more of a grip hand, but that's a trigger finger hand. Again. And you know what's really weird is we also just looked at a figure not way too long ago, the Flash, that had two punching hands. He doesn't have anything to hold. Like, you didn't give him anything to hold. What was the choice that created trigger finger hand and ring hand? What was it? When we were thinking, when we were planning out the figure, and we said, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do the textured look again. So he's going to be kind of like Kilowog. He's going to have the textured uniform and everything. We're going to go with a darker green. This is all going to be thing like this, which you could almost call that out to that he should not be a darker green because he should be the same green as her, and he's not. He's not. She. No, you know what? They may have done it actually. Hey, let's actually use this. There. Yep, they're about the same green. So you know what? I take that back. Good job. But some of the other Green Lanterns are not the same green. But in this pack, that would have made the most sense, especially since you were selling the comic and you were trying to base the artwork on the comic, they should be lighter green if we're going to be nitpicky. I'm not too worried about that. But hey, they got the green. I'm happy with that. I don't the texture doesn't bother me, but I could live without it. I'll say that. Because with Green Lanterns, I know that the construct is created. The suit is a construct. It comes from the ring. It is literally a suit composed of light that covers these people. So, like, it would have made more sense for it to have no texture. But since they went with the textured look, and they've done it with a couple of figures, it does not bother me. But if we're going to argue consistency, just for the sake of nitpicking and being nerds, it's what it is. Look, we complain about stupid passion crap. She's not textured. Why is she smooth? And he's textured. From the same book, same era, same lanterns. What's going on? Doesn't really matter. I'm just talking bull crap. It really doesn't matter. But I will say this. Somebody really liked Howl because they gave him that bootay. Like, the other guys do not seem to have that thing going on right there. Not well, we've turned a couple of these characters around now from the McFarlane figures, and the guys do not have butts. Howl starting his underwear career. I guess it's consistent too. Howl just must have a butt. He must just be known for having a butt. This is the Howl that's going to come off the shelf now. It's fine. I don't hate him by any means, but I'm not about armored lanterns. This look, kind of like we were talking about when I said like the looks of characters just kind of get more complicated as we go. Like, I showed you the Flash, and we talked about the Flash, and we talked about like where his suit was and how simple it was, and how as time has gone on, it's got to get more complicated, and then like armor, and then like lightning effects, and then like lines and these yellow things that like these yellow like laser lights that follow him around as he runs and stuff like that. We have to keep adding detail to make them like work. That's kind of what this feels like. This feels like simple wasn't good enough, so they armored him up. And you could argue, oh, well, you know, he does that. Yeah, that's for the ring. He, you know, he needed protection or whatnot, so he chose to armor himself with the ring. That doesn't, in Green Lantern context, it wouldn't make sense, because just forming a bunch of extra armor on yourself wouldn't be any more effective than just increasing the light barrier that you have around yourself. It really wouldn't change anything in terms of that. But I do also love that that's something that's brought up in some Lantern comics, is that every Lantern thinks differently. And since the ring is based on creating constructs from the imagination of the user, the way that they visualize the world changes the way that the ring functions, kind of. Like, you'll notice that when Jon Stewart creates something, he builds it from the inside out because he's an architect. So they've argued in the books, in different books, that his constructs tend to be a little more sturdy because he like builds them. Where another person may literally like form a boxing glove and just hit you. Another guy might literally shoot a line, just a laser, just pew, and he just shoots it or whatever. While the same power of effect, some guy might throw a hammer. You know, and I do kind of like that it gives every single one of them the personality and kind of changes them up and whatnot. I've always kind of loved that concept of the Green Lantern. So really, I'm just talking about, like, you know, this crap at this point. That's really what I'm doing. So I think I've talked enough. This is a solid figure. I really don't hate him. I just sometimes I get to talking about lanterns and stuff like that, and I got a lot to say. I think his face looks good. He seems a little younger than maybe he should. But then again, comics are weird like that. And this is claiming to be a more classic Green Lantern, if I'm not mistaken. Even though the book that they sold would be like way later life Green Lantern. Who cares? Who cares? I'm going to run myself in circles with this one. Hal Jordan, for some reason, got me talking in circles. Added to the shelf. Curious. Has everyone seen the trailer for the Lanterns? Yes. I didn't even know there was a trailer till now. People are mad about the suit. So, here's the thing. My attitude has changed dramatically over the years. I know that about myself. I honestly see that about myself. I used to get worked up about stuff like this. I don't really anymore in the same way. I still have my moments where I'm like, we just did it with Hal Jordan. We just ran in circles. But like, so here's the thing. They showed a Green Lantern suit hanging in a closet, which I'm assuming is Hal Jordan's closet. And I'm hearing people are mad about it. Well, a couple of things. One, you might claim that you're right to be irritated about it. That it doesn't make sense. He doesn't have a suit. The ring creates the suit. Okay. That is true today. But back in the early books, he did actually have a suit. And he did hang it in the closet. So that's not necessarily not comic accurate. It's dumb if we're telling a more modern version of the story and claiming that Hal just like keeps a Green Lantern suit lying around. A, doesn't make any sense, because if I'm to expect that there's actually like, if we actually go out to the core and we're at the core and they have to like make all of our suits, and like then I gotta go all the way back to my sector and like defend my sector, and like what if it gets a tear or whatever? Like, I can't fix it because it's got to be custom made, and then I got to go all the way back to OA or whatever. And like, does that make any real sense? Is there like a delivery system with the ring where I'm like, hey, my suit's damaged, you know, the Lantern 1285 suit damaged in combat, need replacement uniform. And then what, does the ring just make it, but then it's not like a construct, it's like the actual suit, and I just put that in the closet? And then what, do I burn the old suit? Because obviously I'm playing the superhero game. I'm not like, if I'm Hal Jordan or I'm an Earth Lantern, for the most part, most of those lanterns don't show up and go, hey, I'm this, I'm a Green Lantern now, and this is like what I do. They like play the superhero game, like Kyle and whatnot. For a while, they very much did the, we wear domino masks and we try to hide our faces and tell people that we're superheroes. You know, we have secret identities. That's kind of really been, like, if that's a thing, would you keep that in your closet? Like, you Spider-Man? Like, you don't have a better place to put that? And if the ring can just make it, would you not just, like, seal it in the ring? Like, I get it. That's weird, okay? I don't think that it matters in the grand scheme of things. People are mad about the suit. Now, the other question is, are they mad about the way that it looks? Because canonically, even though it doesn't make sense, he did actually hang his suit in the closet for a while. And if we're to be looking at like an older Hal Jordan, would that older Hal Jordan still be hanging on to like his old suit? That doesn't seem right to me, but sure, whatever. And in the context of the suit, are we happy with the way that it looks? Is that part of the problem? That people don't like the way it looks? It's hard to know, and people complain about everything now. Like you can't watch a trailer without hearing a thousand problems. That being said, I have seen the trailer. I do have some problems. I don't know how far the problems really go, but I have them. For one, from the little bit that I was able to gather, this is a buddy cop movie. That would be fine if Hal Jordan was already part of the universe, already a Green Lantern, and did the same thing that he did to start the Green Lanterns book, where he takes two lanterns that are new and forces them to be partners. He gave them a lantern that they had to share and forced them to be sector partners. And then if you were going to do that, the two lanterns that you would do, since the storyline is literally already laid out in the comics for you, would be Jessica Cruz and Simon Baz. But we didn't do that. We decided to go with Hal and John. Hal and John have also played the partners game before. This is true. But it was also like back during the 70s, and it was done specifically as kind of a social commentary, kind of like the Green Lantern Green Arrow was also a major social commentary book. And the way that we played that out would not be the same today. I'm not saying that that stuff doesn't exist today. I'm saying that it would be played very differently today, and it doesn't seem like they're doing that either, necessarily. The trailer, I need to watch it a second time to really get a 100% beat on what I think about it. I'll be honest about that. This is really off the top of my head. I've seen it once on my phone before I went to sleep. I don't like the fact that it seems like John doesn't have a ring. Why would he not have a ring? It's like I hear Hal say something about he's training him. But that doesn't make a lot of sense to me either, because rings don't choose like that. Rings go off into the universe, and like literally if I'm sitting here in this room, it would break through my window or my wall probably, because that's the more difficult thing for me to replace with the limited funds that I have. It would break through my wall and it would shine in my face and it would say, Bill of Earth, you have the ability to overcome great fear. Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps. And then it would just probably, because a lot of these rings, they just slip themselves on your finger, and sometimes you don't even have a choice. You see it in the comics all the time. And then I would just be like, oh my God, and I'd get a suit. And then basically at that point, either I would act on my own until lanterns came to get me, because that, I've seen it two ways. I've seen where you get it on your finger, and it takes you to the core for training and processing, basically. Then I've seen the other way around where they get it and they play with it for a while before lanterns show up going, hey, you're the new guy, come with us. It doesn't seem to be consistent one way or the other. It just seems to be what story they're trying to tell. I don't know how that really works. So that's an issue. Why does John not just have a ring? There's a scene they put in the trailer that I'm thinking they thought was really cute, where Hal puts the ring on the dash and then drives his car off a cliff. And then he's eating at a diner or something like that. And John walks up and he's like, hey man, I could have been killed. First off, yes, you actually could have been killed. And second, there's also a weird crotchetiness to Hal that doesn't seem right. He seems a little older than he should be. And he makes a couple of comments that are kind of weird when John asks him in the trailer, You ever talk to any of the other lanterns or something like that? And then Hal has this response that's like, yeah, like the other guys are aliens. One of them's a squirrel. I don't know if the trailer is taking that scene out of context or is like, Hal a jerk? Look, if you want to do Hal Jordan, I don't know why we've done 2 movies now that don't seem to get him right. If you want to do Hal Jordan, they've done it before. There are 2 movies with Hal Jordan in it. Top Gun Maverick. Take Maverick, transfer him, there's Hal Jordan. It is literally that simple. It's no more complicated than that. If you've watched Top Gun or Maverick fits it a little bit better, but if you've watched those 2 things, that's Hal Jordan. You could pretty much go to the comics and read after watching those 2 movies, and you will pick up massive similarities, especially if you're reading in the John era. Like the George era, sorry. I don't know. The trailer does not instill me with confidence yet. I don't know if this is one of those situations where I need to see another trailer that expands on some of the ideas and maybe shows me something. But right now, I'm not sitting at a point where I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait for this movie. I'm not like super excited. I'm concerned. I'm concerned because we've already done one Green Lantern movie, which was bad. And it tanked the character for years. Like, they're afraid of him. And I know that is true. The whole Snyderverse thing that was running, they wouldn't even touch the Green Lantern. Like, they wouldn't touch him, man. The closest we got was a cameo, which, by the way, was cut, with a Green Lantern fighting in the middle of, like, a giant war with Darkseid, and he got killed fast. He was like, I'm a Green Lantern, dead. Cares about that guy. They would show him in the intros where they'd be like, you know, they show the DC logo or whatever, and they'd show the Green Lantern, but they didn't put him in the Justice League. They didn't give him his own movie. They wouldn't touch him. They wouldn't even reference the idea that the Green Lantern was a thing. They just completely left him alone. They're like afraid of him because the reaction to the first movie was so bad that the public perception sees him as a joke. And now, you go to try again, and this movie seems like it's not exactly going to put Hal in a great light. He seems like the grumpy, old, retired shit cop. Maybe I am wrong. I don't have a lot of information. How much information can we honestly glean off of a less than 3-minute trailer for a movie that will probably run an hour and a half to 2 hours? Not much. So I can only make speculations. But I am concerned. It does have me worried, because if they screw this movie up, if this is 2 back-to-back Green Lantern movies that fail, I don't know if we come back from that. Like, I really don't. That's probably another decade of being like, don't put Green Lantern in stuff. It doesn't work. And I really don't want that. Bill, maybe that book should have been a poster. That would be neat. That would be neat. If they took posters and gave them to us from like the Page Punchers. In fact, the idea of Page Punchers, that's actually not a bad idea at all. They should take very famous panels, some of the best panels ever done, splash pages and stuff like that, or comic covers and variants and whatnot. Some of the best covers ever. And they should do that. Every Page Puncher should come with like an absolute iconic, amazing drawing from like an artist taken right out of one of the comics or something like that. Can it really cost that much to like be like, hey, we want this panel really like shows it, just like a really good panel of him, coming down with like a big construct or whatever, like just something really cool from the Lantern War or whatever. Like, we want that. You telling me you can't get the license for like one single image and then use that image and then give it? That would be a cool idea. And then every character, even if you bought because like when I said recently, you buy like 7 characters and they all come with the same book and they're all like the middle of the storyline or the last of, like, that doesn't necessarily work. But like a poster of every single one that's individual to the person you just bought, that could be cool. And Green Lanterns especially lend themselves to tremendous artwork. That could be cool. I like Bill's Fandom tales. They are cool, and it's always nice to reminisce about times in our childhoods, teens, and early adulthoods. Like, that's... I've had a couple people that hate this about my show. They hate it. I've had comments left on my videos because people think they're reviews. And I guess I get it, because everybody that's like doing this, that's what they're doing. They're doing toy reviews. But I'll literally, the episode will be labeled adding Hal Jordan to the shelf. That's because that's what I'm doing. I got it. I've opened it. I'm going to put it on the shelf, unless it's trash. There are some figures that don't go on the shelf. There are some Motu figures that never make it to the shelf because they don't deserve to stay in this room at all. They're currently in a tote, and they will be in a tote until they get sold or thrown away. But I've had people that are like, dude, it doesn't make sense to do a $20 review show where all you're talking about is like old books and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not a review channel. That is not what I do here. This is what I do here. I am literally, this is kind of my hobby. I'm coming on here because I know there are people with memories and whatnot, just like I have, that this is kind of what they're looking for too. And the people that find this show that like it, that understand what I'm doing, I'm talking toys, I'm talking memories, I'm talking fandom, I'm talking experiences, I'm talking hopes, like, I'm talking things that work, things that don't work, toys that suck but I still love because I'm not very particular. Like, that is what I'm doing here. Some people get it, some people don't. And it's real nice sometimes to know that some people really do get it, that that's what we're doing here. Because some people, man, I've made people straight up mad about my reviews because they're not reviews and they're never meant to be. But people don't really get that because so many people are trying this toy tuber thing and they're trying it as review channels. So people get very used to the idea that if you're talking toys, you're a review channel. But I'm not. Comics and trading cards used to be easy to get. Remember getting a whole booster box of Batman movie cards and Digimon cards, but now you can only get like 3 booster packs of cards, period? I do remember. In fact, shameless self-promotion, I actually have a video on this channel called like All These Cards or All the Cards or whatever, where I actually show off like a lot of my old card collection, and I talk about like where I got them and like different stuff like that, and like how crazy it really was and how they were everywhere back when we were growing up. You can only get 3 packs because they limit. Yeah, because like, I'm sitting here on both sides of the fence on this one. I get your irritation. But I also got to say, it is devastating to go to work all day. And like I work a job that I'm there all day. I'm like, I leave this house at like 5 something. I don't get home till like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. And then my kid is like, oh, the new Pokemon came out or whatever, the new cards. And then I take my kid to the Target, they're sold out. And I take them to the next Target, they're sold out. So I take them to the Walmart, they're sold out. Take them to the next Walmart, they're sold out. So I take them to the actual, like, 2 card shops that I know about, and they're like, oh yeah, every single one that I had has already been bought. These are the singles that people didn't like if you'd like to buy cards directly or whatever. That is awful. Whatever's going on with cards right now, that, like, cards have gone through this massive re-influx where, like, everybody's buying Pokemon cards and, like, Magic cards are starting to fly back off the shelves and whatnot. Whatever it is that's going on is causing a serious problem for anybody that is not, like, hoarding level of buying. I almost agree with the limit, because it kind of sucks that there's, like, no chance for some people. At the same time, if you would like to spend all of your money on cards, there really shouldn't be anything stopping you from doing that. So I understand on both sides of the fence where that comes from. But, like, it really does suck to drive around or call every place or try to get something online. And even online, they're selling out in, like, a matter of, like, less than a minute. They'll be like, oh, the new Pokemon dropped. It's gone. People bought, like, 20-something case packs. It's gone. So that's a tough subject. It really is. Because sometimes, while a hardcore collector, an older collector, might want to buy, like, 10, 15 packs or something like that and, like, open them all and go nuts about it, a good portion of kids are just excited to get one pack. That's it. They just need one. And they're just playing their dreams on it. They're like, oh, can I get a Pokemon pack or whatever? And you're like, yeah, of course you can. And there you give them the one pack. And that one pack has infinite possibilities. And they get in the car and they're looking through their stuff. And they're like, they get that one thing they want. And they're like, oh, yeah. And sometimes maybe they don't. They just kind of go through and they're like, yeah, I just kind of got some more stuff I had. I didn't have him. That's pretty cool. Their attitude is different about it. But, like, that one pack isn't even available for them anymore. Like, the supply of cards has dropped so drastically that they don't even get that anymore. Like, they really don't. They can't even get that. So I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on how I feel about that whole situation. Bill, it doesn't have to fly. It just has to look good. I know. Todd does say that shit too. I know. I wish I had kept the cards. Some of them are probably worth money, but I think I traded them for something. I mean, I get that, yeah. Especially the Digimon cards, since they were Gen 1. Are you going to review the Marvel Legends Daredevil and Punisher from Born Again? If not, then why? I don't have the Daredevil or the Punisher. But I need to get another look at the Punisher. I've got to see him in person one time. And I'm not 100% sure I'm sold on the face they chose. I don't know if he just looks a little off or what. It was bothering me a little bit the last time I seen one. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Whew. But, yeah. Now, that Daredevil looks fantastic. I tried to get one today. I went out to the Walmart because they were supposed to have the Daredevils, they were supposed to have the Punishers, and they were supposed to have a Max Shrek. They didn't have either of those. I was on, so I got a notification today while I was eating. And it was like, hey, you've got a notification, your thing is ready. Or not, blah, 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 blah. I don't know why all of a sudden I can't talk. I can't even tell the story. I got a notification that said that Max Shrek was available for pickup at Walmart right now, 5 minutes away. And I was like, come on. And I was like, awesome, I'm coming right over. So I get in my car and I drive over there. And I get there and I go in and I'm like, hey, Max Shrek? And they're like, no. No, absolutely not. We don't have that. That's a screw up in the system. And I was like, dang. So, just so happens, as soon as I thought I was going to get Max Shrek, I did kind of go shopping on the app. And the app also told me that they had Punisher and they had Daredevil. So I said, well, you know what? That's fine that there's no Max Shrek. I will check for Punisher and Daredevil and pick those up anyway, because at least I can get those. That'll be awesome. I'll be happy with that. And I said to myself, I'll also check the Motu section, because who knows, maybe that Tila with the better face is around. Because if I can get 2 of those Tilas, I kind of want to do a kit bash to fix the arms and get like the Tila that I wanted out of the line before I'm done. And so I was like going to go over there and check that. No Tila, no Daredevil, no Punisher, no Shrek, nothing. Every single one of those items claimed that they were in stock at the store and could be picked up today before 3 o'clock. None of them. Not a single one. So yeah. I would like to check those figures out. I have a feeling that Daredevil is very solid. It looks very solid. I'm like very happy with it. And now that I have a comic book Daredevil on the way, I would very much like, because I loved that Daredevil series. And I know that's the Born Again one, but I don't care. He fits in for anyone that I wanted to fit in for. I thought the Daredevil series was one of the best live-action comic book series I have ever seen in my entire life. I really, 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 really loved it. So, like, I would love to have that Daredevil on my shelf. Now, that being said, I did go to check and they weren't there. That doesn't mean that I can't get them. I can order them on Amazon tonight. I have no worries about getting them. I'm positive I will get them. So to answer your question, even though that was a long roundabout way to answer it, yes, you will probably see both of them here because I liked both of them. I just need to see that Punisher again. I'd really like to see it in person before I buy it because the face seemed weird to me the last time I seen it. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's fine. But it looked like it was weird when I looked at it. Like it looked like the hair was funny and it made the face look funny. But I don't know. But that Daredevil is an absolute. And then the argument becomes, if I get the Daredevil, should I get should I get matte? Should I get just the normal matte? Does that make sense? Or at this point, I'm just making excuses to buy more stuff. Because I don't need to do that. I don't need to bring FOMO like back into my life. I just need the things that I feel actually matter to me and leave the other stuff on the floor. So I don't know. Probably not. It would have been cool if he would have had like an unmasked head. But like, I'm probably just going to get the Daredevil and be happy. Because that's the part I care about. But I got to hand it to him. That actor is unbelievable. Like, I can't see anybody else's Daredevil for a while. Isn't Guy Gardner in this universe too? So there's 3 of them? Yes. Guy, if this is shared, which we pretty much believe that it is, Guy should already be around, which means Guy was the 2nd Lantern, and now John will be the 3rd Lantern, and Hal must have already been around. And I don't know if he's just retired or angry or a butthole or what's going on in that trailer. I really can't get a read on it. I'm giving them slack. It's a teaser, and he is not even wearing it. So maybe in Guns DC, you have to wear it for it to glow a brighter green, or the ring makes the suit glow. Right, I don't know exactly what they're trying to push on the idea. It's a series, not a movie. I'd heard that too. That this is supposed to be a series, which I don't love because it would mean that I might not get to see it at all. I am not going to buy another subscription to Max or HBO or whatever just to see this one thing. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Are we not talking toys tonight? So we talked the Flash, Jay Garrick Flash. We talked Simon Baz. We talked Hal Jordan, and we talked Mark Taylor, He-Man. So we actually covered like 5 different items today or something like that, and now we're just kind of winding down. That's the stream got interrupted by a car issue that I had to go help with, and then we came back. It actually looks like John Bernthal, like 100%, because I have seen the figure twice. Okay, so you're saying the face is very good. It's spot on. That's good. That's good for me to know, because I only got to see one in passing at a convention, and it seemed like his hair was funny to me, and it seemed like it made the face look weird. So if you're double backing the idea that it really looks like him, that gives me more confidence to just Amazon it. It really does. I like to hear from somebody that likes it, and they've already kind of got an opinion about it. That does help. From the reviews I've seen, the Daredevil has almost import articulation. I've been hearing that. I've been hearing that he's really, really solid. Not a problem. I enjoy your explanations, sir. Don't you just hate that? Reminds me when a GameStop employee last year told me that they'd have Secret Wars symbiote Spider-Man. There's no symbiote Spider-Man. And waited till they stocked up the new inventory to zero zip nada. Yes, I don't like it. It does irritate me. However, put this in context. I've worked logistics half of my life. So, I'm very used to getting orders on a daily basis, filling out anywhere from 80 to 200 orders a day, consistently, for almost 20 years. And I can't tell you the amount of time in industrial sectors, in steelworking sectors, because I've worked logistics for a steel sheet factory, duct work, shipping for actual ships, I actually did Brazilian freight. I've done airport packing, and I've done, currently I basically work in kind of the mining field. And it's very normal on a daily basis to zero out 3 or 4 items normal. Where it'll say, hey, we need 2 of these gauge things. And you're like, okay, that should be easy. And then you go over to the rack and they're not there because our inventory is incorrect. And then that's if that's an E-tag or whatever, I have to zero it out, back order it, and get it in. Stores work the same way. Because, to be fair, I've also worked a store. I did Sears, I did Kroger's, and I did Walmart for a while. All stock and inventory is what I was doing for those. So I'm also well aware that because of the way that the systems work, let's say that figure was there and their inventory is right. There is a Max Shrek, but he just got stolen an hour ago. They don't know that until they go over there. And there is a code on anything that comes up that's supposed to be in inventory. It'll say this is at K14. That's an aisle distribution number, and that's specific. It's basically how they stock the warehouse. So you'll go over to that area, and you'll go to K14, and it should be there. There's no reason it shouldn't be there, but there's a multitude of reasons that it might not be there. 1, somebody hid it under one of the gondola racks. 2, somebody purposely moved it to a different section when they thought they were going to buy it and then decided they weren't going to buy it. So they just like put it in clothes or whatever and like moved on with their life and didn't worry about it. And the guy who's supposed to be finding things to take back to the area, maybe that guy's not even working, because it used to be, I know, old man crap. Here comes old man crap. Used to be there was a guy like when I worked at Kroger's, and this is way, way back when I was like 15 years old, there used to be a guy whose literal job was to walk around the Kroger's and just look at stuff. That's it. That was his job. He would walk around and he'd look and he'd be like, yep, that stuff goes there, that stuff goes there. And then as he was walking around, he'd have a cart. And if he found something that was out of place, he'd pick it up, put it in the cart. Then he'd walk around, and as he made another loop or whatever, he'd be like, oh, and he'd take the thing and he'd put it back where it actually goes. That was his job. I don't think that job exists anymore. I know that there are returns. Like there's a cart and they keep it at the front and then they load it up and then they tell one of the guys at the front or whatever, they're like, hey, you ain't doing nothing, go put stuff back or whatever. I know that exists, but it's not like a job that you walk around and you keep track of the inventory and whatnot. So like, was that figure there? Maybe. Was that figure stolen? Maybe. Was that figure moved but still technically in stock at the store? High probability. I don't know. Any of those things are possible, but regardless of it, until it is located and put back into inventory, which now it would have to be, I've now said it's not there. So they verified that they think it's not there because it's not in K14. So then they go and they zero out the product. Now their inventory online and on their screens says 0. But if somebody finds it, then they'll have to do a found product check to put it back into the inventory, put it back where it goes, only for somebody to come along later and either steal it or move it again or buy it finally. So I've worked so long in logistics that while I hate that crap, that like it says you have it online, that goes both ways. It says they have it online, so it should be here. But then I also don't want to be that guy that walks in and like, it says you have it online, and I'm mad because it's not actually here. Well, because I've been the guy that has to tell you that it's not there because it isn't there. The inventory is wrong. So like that's really tough. Like it's really tough. Like I understand 100% because it irritates me. I was irritated today when all 4 items I wanted were not there. But I bet you I zeroed out 3 locations last night at work. And I'm sure the customer pickup guy that was there to pick something up was like, what do you mean they don't have it? Because we don't. The inventory was wrong. I think Walmart and Target do that a lot in store, but then it isn't. News reports that in the next few months we are going to see less toys at Target. Really? Do I ask why? I'll have to look that up. That's kind of interesting, actually. That's like legit kind of interesting. I'm curious. I mean, I can take a guess as to why. But yeah. Losing an hour of sleep tonight. Because after I dealt with that situation, I came back and then reviewed like 2 more figures. And now we just kind of been sitting around talking. I am realizing it's 11 o'clock, and because of my situation, I can't really stay up too much longer. I still have 1 episode at least that I need to watch of Star Trek tonight, but the real reason I need to go to sleep, the real reason I need to get out of here is because regardless if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, whether Bill works or not, I have a diabetic blind husky. Like, I have two dogs. One of them is young and vigorous. One of them is old, diabetic, blind, and comes with all the same problems that old, blind, diabetic dogs come with, including the fact that he needs an insulin shot, a Vetselin shot, And it has to be administered at 5 a.m. every day and then administered again at 5 p.m. every day. It has to be within 12 hours. So it has to be 6 to 6, 5 to 5, whatever. The way that we handle it, though, because you have to take the Vetselin out of the fridge, that means that I have to be up consistently at about 4 a.m. every single day to take it out of the fridge, put it on the counter, wait so that it gets to room temperature, then take it, feed him, give him the shot. That'll be at about 5 o'clock or 5:30, depending on the situation. And then I can either go back to bed or whatnot because it's Sunday. But sometimes by the time that I've waited that through and everything, I am just awake. It doesn't matter. I can get 2 hours of sleep, but then because I have to wake up and wait and play on my phone and do whatever I'm doing and then give the dog the shot. And then of course I got to let the dogs outside. And then depending on the situation, sometimes I have to try to get Lexi back inside, because she's a husky and she wants to run all over the world. She's explored that. She's explored that backyard her whole life. And I guess there's still things to find back there. So yeah, it's pretty wild. But I love those dogs. I absolutely love my dogs. The quote, everything in-store Target plans to cut the number of home products it sells in half in an attempt to archive less is more impact. The strategy extends to toys and electronics. Less is more impact. So the idea is to keep lower stock and then replenish as it sells out instead of trying to guess the 8-week planogram. Is that probably what they're doing? I wonder what this is going to be like. It's interesting. I wonder what the actual overall plan is and how it actually is intended to work. Because somebody was given a lean process on that. Somebody's under a lean principle, and they're trying to redesign the planogram for lean processing. That's got to be what's going on. I've instructed lean processing courses for 8 years. I already watched part 1 of this, so I was surprised to see you're still talking. I kind of am too, if I'm being very honest. Which will get more thoughtfully merchandised with a point of view, said Cassandra Jones, SVP of Target, calls Fun 101. For example, a new fan shop will feature hats and jerseys of pro sports. Don't they already have that? Don't you first walk into Target and then on the right, if it's not a coffee shop, isn't that usually a sports area? Whatever. Did you pre-order that Target exclusive Emma Frost, Bill? No. I don't blame you if you didn't, given your history with the original. Well, you already knew. Look, I thought she was cool. But I thought the other one was too. And knowing that they reused the exact same sculpt with the exact same problems, I was like, no, this one is not for Bill. So yeah, I did skip on her. But if we're doing that now, I'm glad she sold out. And I'm being serious about this. I'm glad she sold out. Because now that she's sold out, can I get that concept brought over to that Emma, maybe? Can we use that Emma and give me a crystal body? Because I do it for that one. Also, can we reuse that concept for the Invisible Woman? Because I'd like that too. Make her invisible and give her the shield and whatnot. Because that's kind of cool. I would be interested in that. So I'm glad that she sold as well as she did, even if I was not interested. Expect fewer laptops in stores, Jones said, to make room for stickier displays of wearable tech and tech accessories. Huh. Target can't beat Walmart and Amazon on price and speed. No, they cannot. But people must have a different Target than me. My Target, both of them, by the way, both Targets, neither one of them sell laptops. They sell everything for your laptop. They sell mice, keyboards, they sell bags, they sell like equipment and whatnot. But they like when I was shopping for a computer, like what was it, like 4 months ago, something like that. There was none. There wasn't a single laptop in that building, either of them. That was the whole quote. Sorry, it wouldn't let me share. No, that's fine. I get it. It's interesting though. I really am curious. If that's the idea that Target can't beat Walmart and Amazon on price and speed, so they plan to restructure the store and create smaller pocketed high sell areas, that's all lean processing. I'm positive that's lean principle processing. In fact, I bet you I know how they wrote the planogram. Like, I taught lean processing courses for 8 years at my current job. I just stopped doing it this year. So, like, I've been over a lot of these things, like how to write the planograms, how to track down root cause corrective analysis and stuff like that. I've done all of this stuff. I've taught this stuff. I've instructed it. I've even been asked off of those classes if I would do it for other industries. So, like, I know it pretty well, and, like, it sounds like that's what they're about to do, is they're about to completely overhaul the store in lean process brackets, basically, and create high consistency stuff, like they know it sells, but they keep a low inventory to restock it with a pull instead of push demand. That's probably what's going on. And they'll probably keep an inventory rack, probably like things like, as things go out, it will automatically check through the register, hey, there's only 20 items in the building, and then as it processes and gets down to like there's 10 left, it then automatically procs an order for resupply of that item because that item sells. And the second an item no longer sells at the same consistent frequency, they will probably remove it from stock and then do a new hit in that area. That's probably what they're about to do. Will it work? Hard to say. Brick and mortar stores are already coming across a big problem, one that I will confirm 100%. Had today I not gone to Walmart, you know what I would have? The figures we talked about. But I went to Walmart. That's the truth of it. I went to Walmart. That's why I don't have the figures. Had I just said, I know they're not going to be there, I would have taken out my phone and I would have been like, add. Done. I would have probably got 2 of them from Amazon and then just ordered the other 2 directly off of Walmart and had them sent to me instead of pickup. I'd have had to wait a week for Walmart probably, because it probably wouldn't have come from anywhere in my area, chances are. And I'd have probably gotten the 2 other figures, the Marvel Legends, I'd have probably gotten them tomorrow. But instead, I took my chance that maybe I would find them in the wild. I did not. It is that mentality, though. Like the last couple times I went out looking for jeans, I couldn't find jeans that were my size. For some reason, my legs are 32 length. That doesn't sound like a problem until you realize that for some reason, my waist is not the waist that I guess you need for 32 legs. If I get the waist I need, the legs are way too long. All the time. Like, my size is very, very odd in a store. Like, I'm looking for it all the time. Like, where the fuck is it? And I can't find it. But I can go online, type in my stuff, and it's there. I can just be like, buy 5 pairs, send them to me. I'm done. I don't got to think about it. Like, there's something to be said for the convenience of it, while at the same time realizing that the convenience of it and us taking advantage of that convenience tears apart one of these little fundamental things that we all seem to hitch to. The idea that the brick and mortar store is dying. It is. And it is, in a way, our fault. One could argue it the same. It is their fault. But let's be honest. Let's say I want to watch Dragon Ball Z, and I don't have it, but I want to. And I don't want to take the chance that I would drive to 4 stores and they not have it. I could just order it and watch it next weekend. And you know what I will get? Because they'll say, oh yeah, but then shipping and handling. Shipping and handling is me driving to 4 stores to figure out they don't have something. The convenience is killing the brick and mortar. And they've got to start figuring out something if they want to keep it open. But at the same time, pickup is becoming a very regular thing at brick and mortars. And as time goes by, and these pickup sections start to look a lot more like e-tags for the industries that I work in. And as long as I've been in the industries that I've worked in and I've started walking into Walmarts and whatnot and started watching their racks and their setups and their displays and the way that their little shoppers push around the carts now and whatnot and use the same scan guns that I use, sometimes the same carts that I've seen at other distribution warehouses that I've worked in, and I start to see that now there are emergency tag customer pickups, and I'm starting to watch all these things play out, and I'm like, the goal here is for this store to become a distribution center. They will slowly but surely want you, the customer, to get out. And the Walmart, you will just simply get on your phone, on your Walmart, and be like, hey, I need these things, and I will come pick them up. And they will be like, parking spot 13 at 2 p.m. And then you will just go there and pick up your groceries and your toys and your whatever, and they will bring them out to you. And then they will redesign the inside to work like a warehouse, which will more than quadruple the amount of stuff that they stock in the store, because they no longer have to worry about you walking around in it. They don't have to keep you safe or make it convenient for you or worry about displays. They just put everything out, then they lean process the entire thing into aisles, and then they quadruple stock everything in the store, and then you order it and you pick it up. And because you're no longer in there, you're not in the way of the way the system works. And Walmarts and Targets and things of that nature would quadruple their profit margins overnight, because they also don't have to worry about things and overheads like shopping carts and a bunch of other crap either. Like, it's been happening for a decade. Slowly watching it kind of look more and more like the job that I do for warehouses. It's happening in the stores because they know that companies like Amazon changed the game, and they're losing the game. The sad thing about the game is if you don't play it, you can't win. Ask all the companies that thought things like digital cameras were not the wave of the future. Oh, you can't talk to those companies anymore? Because they were wrong. They were so wrong, in fact, they're not companies anymore. They will, however, still sell toys on their website. And yeah, interesting. It is going to be interesting to see how all this pans out. I've been watching it for a long time, the way all these things have been playing in the store and whatnot. But I think that's it. I do actually have to get going, or else I'm going to be in real trouble, because it's like 11:20. So, I appreciate everybody hanging out. And I don't know. Chances are I won't be on Monday. That's kind of the reason I wanted to do this. I might. We'll have to watch how it goes. But I think we might be moving to Sundays. I was talking about that in the last one because, like, Sunday is the day that I actually guaranteedly have off, and my wife guaranteedly has Sunday off. So I think that I could squeeze Sunday in. I've just got to figure out how transporting my kid every other week would work with that, but I think I can work that out. So anyways, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. I always do. And I will see you guys, in like the next stream. Because that's kind of how this like works. Later on, guys.